isn't it? Considering what we saw only whatever it was 22 hours ago up against one shot. So for me, I am going to lean the way of EcsTATIC, but that's on the pretext that we're not going to see the same team we saw yesterday. We're going to see them more composed and a little bit more razor focused than up against one shot where things were slipping a little bit, especially towards the end on that final map.
All right, well, we are indeed into the action here on Overpass, our first map. This is the one that I think has potential to open the series up. EcsTATIC starting off on the CT side. It's a bit calmer, you know, a bit easier to get things rolling after a day like yesterday. So we'll see, we'll see. We're maybe giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're somewhat prepped for this one. An early face in towards long and in towards B, as EcsMankz had gotten aggressive, the flash ineffective. Isaac takes his head clean off for the first frag.
Bomb still way back. Very spread out T-side for the moment. And only one flashbang in terms of ending here on towards a bomb site. So I warn the viewers, don't count your chickens just yet. They still need to group up. Still need to get some map control. And this duel could be very important. 4-on-4 now. And maybe that utility, our lack of that utility, could play a factor now.
Very true. Ooh, and a late push in towards short here as well. Just to gather some information. They're not going to follow up on it. I don't think they're prepped for this player in behind the sandbags, but not able to capitalize on the little catch there that Fashion maybe had. Bird from Sky, good for one. But he's losing his teammates. This is the difficult thing. Maybe if you can find all the heads, it doesn't matter so much. Into a 2 versus 2. Back round towards short for another. And now just Wolfy on high has been spotted, and Isaac not afraid at all with that Glock fight. I was going to say the USP maybe suits him a little bit more, but not going to be the case. Wolfy gets clapped out. GamerLegion, it's a difficult pistol, but they get it.
Yeah, slugfest on B towards the end. No utility, of course, to cover off any angles, so it was all duels, and just about edging it out were GamerLegion. And again, we saw this yesterday, didn't we, Scriv? EcsTATIC very fond of the second round saves on CT, preferring to get those rifles out in the third. And if GamerLegion have done any homework, they'll know that's the case, and they should play accordingly. So what we should expect here is an easy round for GamerLegion. The thing to focus on is if EcsTATIC can get 2 or even 3 kills, that would be so massive going into that first gun round.
All right. Let us see. They're still working on convincing us with this, but sticking to it. Going for a bit of a B stack into this round, of course, but no real presence over there. And as soon as you hear some nades, they're all going to move. It does make sense with the approach that you're taking in a round like this, but will GamerLegion continue their push towards A? It looks that way, and they're going to meet a bit of resistance as well, slightly earlier than maybe they had bargained for. In comes one. That looks to be all, unless Bird from Sky can capitalize on a couple of players that are one-tappable, as it were. But they're going to use Isaac to lead the way and clear out the rest of short. Pretty smart stuff. He nearly gets the catch, and, you know, it does. It speaks to the fact that you send the full HP player, he can survive and afford to not check all his angles. It's a nice thing. It's a small thing, but it does save them that money that you were talking about.
Yeah, tricky thing as well, because on a gun round, you'd send the low HP players in first and then trade them, but clearly against the pistols, losing any more numbers would have been pretty devastating, and for EcsTATIC to do so much damage and only find 1 kill is actually a little disappointing. It could be a big factor in that economy game moving forwards.
Very quickly looking for this early control to try and get some utility down. EcsMankz is that first port of call. 7 ADR at the moment. Looking to up that a little. He gets instantly traded out, but at the very least manages to find one. Gathers some information. EcsDaffu with the Molotov in, I believe. It's a smoke actually, but it's a little late nonetheless. Bird from Sky from behind thins the numbers. A weird approach from GamerLegion so far. It's also EcsTATIC with a very passive B hold. So it allows the bomb to go down, but a solid man advantage, some quick flanks. This looks pretty good for EcsTATIC.
Feels like they're getting sandwiched in, doesn't it, for this T-side for GamerLegion. Rusty up close to the wood. Important frag, buys space. Teammates, though, are starting to fall by the wayside, but all the frags right at the end go the way GamerLegion. It really felt like in that retake, because they were getting penned in. Surely EcsTATIC could pull it off, but Maybe some missed shots, maybe some miscommunication, maybe not all the utility paying real results towards the end, but that's going to be GamerLegion's afterplan, and considering EcsTATIC brought up that one, they're going to be echoing this.
So we do have a timeout coming in from EcsTATIC. It's the first rifle round, but already I think we're seeing some issues, right? We saw some big problems yesterday when it came to the retakes and some of the late round decision making on the CT side, right? You remember that one round, I think, where it all came to a head, where they were in between saving and going for it and got caught trying to run away just as the bomb went off on the B site of Inferno. Maybe if there was anyone who was around watching that, they'll remember, right? And it was very dangerous in a way, you know, to see a team playing like that. Not as bad in that round, but we're still seeing some of the demons from yesterday, and it's a very early timeout, to be honest. And I think that they already are sensing some of the problems that they had yesterday coming back, and they need to work on it because, you know, GamerLegion's a team that they should be beating. One Shot's a team that they absolutely should not be losing to. So 2 days in a row of disappointment is really not great. And of course, as we say, you lose this game, there's no 5 or 6 other group games that you've got available to pull it back and at the very least stay alive. Might not have been our season, might not get our conference spot, that's okay. At least we're still here for next season. It's good practice, etc, etc. It's not going to be the case. You're going to be down in advanced, which, you know, the level is, or the gap, I should say, is pretty large, to be honest, in between, right? Advanced, I feel like they should absolutely be getting back up, but then you're going to have more work to do. Maybe you can speak to this a little bit, right? Because you're going to have to deal with teams who only really play in advanced, and you don't want to be losing to them either, because you want your spot back in the Challenger League. So it's a really difficult time, and I think, yeah, it very much stems from this dodgy-looking decision-making that we've seen the past couple of days.
Yeah, indeed, and certainly if you drop into advanced, the real thing is the sheer number of games you have to play in the regular season and the playoffs. We might have a new format here in the Challenger League, you know, reworked MDL and Premier, but at the lower levels, it's not been reworked. It's not a shorter format, and you'd have to play several months, a lot of games, a lot of scheduling, a lot of awkward matches to only get the opportunity then to get back up into the Challenger League and to qualify for conference. And of course, for any Danish heavy team, they don't have a national league as another route into the conference. They have to get in via the Challenger League. So if EcsTATIC fall out in terms of their promise over the next, to be honest, year in terms of getting into Pro League, they're in real trouble. So it's actually a huge match for them, this one.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, right, I did an interview with Wolfy, and he said that they were going to actively take less tournaments and focus more on progress and, you know, future steps, which you would assume would include Challenger League and therefore Pro League in the long term, right? So if they're immediately first group like this going out, it is going to be a massive disappointment, and it may well affect the makeup of the team as well. So we're very early doors. We're only 5 rounds in. Maybe getting ahead of ourselves with, you know, a slight suggestion at roster moves. But we've been around the block a few times, you and I. You can see when there are maybe a few fundamental issues, such as I am running up long, one-tapping Wolfy in the side of the head. Fasher also loses his fight, taken down through the smoke, I think, so slightly less lucky there. But all the same, 3 remain. They're going to save. GamerLegion, it looks way too easy.
Yeah, EcsTATIC just completely focused on toilets. The player front sight, no idea a player could have got up long, clearly in that scenario, and you watch it and you ask how such kind of a glaring gap could be left unattended. And they pay the price. Early save call coming out from EcsTATIC, and it was almost poetry, as you said, fundamentals, and they make a huge fundamental mistake to drop that round. It's going to be 5-0 for GamerLegion on the T side, albeit their map pick. We'd still expect a little bit more here from EcsTATIC, I think, on the stronger side.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still a lot more time to go, right? And the save is pretty decent there, so should be able to get the buy back out. But this is not even super early into the round. You know what I mean? So he's been working that area, and you've very much got to just even take a look at the minimap, or Fasha's got to say, you know, long is probably open. I can't really hear long from here. Can't see it because I'm sat in a smoke or whatever, and it's just not communicated. So yeah, problematic to say the least, but here we go. Round number 6, they've got to buy back in. No AWP out for Wolfy, but that's about it. Everything else is pretty decent. Double nade. Works beautifully. The Molotov as well. There you go. Bird from Sky. He's got something in the back pocket. Give me that util. Let me, you know, utilize this new change that's come in, and he finds 2 quick kills for free.
Yes, indeed. Top fragger for EcsTATIC at the moment, so in-game leader over there putting in work, and for the first time in a while, we're looking at GamerLegion saying, you're at a man disadvantage, a big one at that. Time to take some risks at least and try to open up a bomb site, and that's going to be Rusty over on A, facing from toilets. Looked like he exchanged a few shots, but no frags found. Bomb is back in T-spawn. GamerLegion need to think about a bomb site soon, or they're going to run out of time.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Dink through the wall comes in for Rusty. He'll get taken down by Fasher on the right eye peak. So that, for me, begins to seal the deal. Now we need something out of this world, especially considering they are split. The bomb is in between the two of them. It's not necessarily lost, but it's going to take time to recover it back. Time which they don't have with only 25 seconds left. So I think we are just kind of looking to save here. They will have money to buy into the next, whether these guys make it through or not, but I think they wanted to give it a good chance, a good college try, as they say. There's just no opportunity to do so. So the first round for EcsTATIC comes in, and yeah, it is a really nice opening sequence from Bird from Sky.
Yes, indeed. 2 guns saved over. That should allow the reinvestment in the next, and actually GamerLegion. Plenty of money banked up, so no issues on that accord. EcsTATIC then getting on the board off the back of this great utility and towards the short water position. And the other good news for EcsTATIC is keeping so many numbers alive. The chance here of a full reset and forcing more ecos down the line is so massively reduced. So clean round when they need it the most, and a great opportunity now to win another behind it, bank up more cash, and actually get up to a pretty reasonable CT round haul. This half isn't over yet.
Boosted over for information there on the squeaky door. Trying to spam away as well. I am looking for a return. Not quite going to find it. Takes minuscule damage. So GamerLegion just spreading the default out. Going to catch some aggression. Maybe EcsTATIC are feeling confident now that they've got their first round. Isaac goes for some information towards short. But it's very pokey and proddy from this T side right now. No real commits, as it were.
Yes, indeed. Thinking about a little bit of long toilets control from a couple of those players. For the moment, still up in the air where they're going to be ending. That bomb is in T-spawn. As the flash comes out from eraa, Rusty finds the first, takes a Wolfy down extremely low, and you'd expect some rotates to be forced from this, and maybe it will. Bomb is heading towards B. EcsTATIC are thinking about an information play on short, and it could be musical chairs here on the B bomb site.
Yeah, possibly. It is a fake out. Rusty getting another, really selling it. And you can see we got 2 and 3 on the minimap. That's EcsMankz and EcsDaffu moving up as Rusty carries on selling this fake. Era's going to go down, but it doesn't matter, right? They're in a 4 versus 2. They get the information, and he is pretty sure that he's seen both of them. So he just relays that to his teammates, and they can very quickly get the bomb down, get into the post plant, so you don't have to waste any utility and that kind of thing. So they're really solidly set up. And EcsMankz and EcsDaffu recognize that, retrieve themselves an open. They'll move to save, maybe grab an exit or 2 if they can.
GamerLegion striking right back. But as we mentioned, the good news is EcsTATIC do have a little bit of money in the bank, so assuming these weapons are saved over, the buy in the next will be just fine. The problem is they're running out of rounds, aren't they? If you let GamerLegion get up to a stronger T-haul than this, going into that second half, it starts becoming a case of pistol round, first gun round, the swing rounds and the one-on-ones. They all become must-wins instead of allowing any leeway. GamerLegion starting strong, and EcsTATIC, they're going to put up any defense here on their opponent's map pick. They need to start winning rounds thick and fast, and this one's going to be important.
4-man boost, and the fine comes in. Manx plucked out of the air. Massive early kill. Smooth and easy, saving it for a round where you just want to be rubbing that salt into the wound. Flash is coming over the top. This could be a bit dangerous, so you can see Fasher, he continues to push, and he was almost spotted around the corner. He's in the lion's den. There's so many around him. Does manage to get one. Bit of support as they're back-to-back here. Oh, no, but they unfortunately were not set up. It looked like it could have been perfect. They'll get caught. I think someone had a nade out the back, not covered. And double spray down comes in for Rusty, looking really good in these past couple of rounds. 9-2 now, and probably, once again, single-handedly securing a round for the boys.
EcsDaffu, last alive, finds the first. And actually, the bomb is still yet to be recovered, but it's not going to matter. Another round slipping away. Can invest into this one. That's the good news. The problem is, as we mentioned a few times already, the CT side is already slipping out of control. And for GamerLegion, it feels like they can do no wrong at the moment, doesn't it? Go for this quad boost at the start. Players jumping just out of the heaven position, and small detail is they did the really fast boost, and that's the only way you can catch the player early on like that. So good stuff from GamerLegion. I guess we're still asking questions of EcsTATIC on the CT side. It looks very flat thus far.
Yeah, another timeout coming in as well to really talk things over and just try and revive it. It's scary to see when you have that one-round pickup, and then immediately you get returned on. The other team starts to find strung rounds again. Kind of speaks to a bit of flukiness, to be honest. Not the best word to use, but EcsTATIC gonna have to kind of prove me wrong, to be honest. We'll see the aggression coming in once again, but Rusty, crispy as you like, mate. Another engagement coming in towards the connector area as well. It's looking all too easy for GamerLegion right now. They're just starting to take aggressive 1v1s and winning them, so that's where it gets even scarier. Manx will return, but is it going to be good enough?
Well, hopefully for EcsTATIC's sake, it can be. Bit of a boost on B, but nobody to find in towards short water. And as we can see, Monster, that's the point of call. Molotov for barrels, flash behind the pillar to allow those players to accelerate. Heaven smoke as well for good measure, as well as a molly on towards the CT rotates. Manx finds one, taken extremely low, and Daffu's going to have to do work here. Swings wide. There's actually only Rusty out on the offense at the start. Era's still sat back. I am's way off behind the short smoke, and GamerLegion looking a little disjointed in this round, and a much needed stronghold thus far from EcsTATIC.
Proving they're mortal. Definitely proving they're mortal. A good number of mistakes coming in. I am against 3, and they are tightly packed. This is going to be difficult. Playing around the pillar as well. It's really hard to take players around when they know what they're doing in that area. Daffu certainly does. Finds the final kill. Makes it look easy, of course. So, 3 surviving. Pretty big second round. We need to see more, though. This time, they've got to string them together. Absolutely.
Daffu doing work on this round. Good to see him showing up after what has been a pretty problematic CT half thus far, and I guess calling upon underperformances at the moment. You've got to look at Wolfy and say, CT side of Overpass, the AWP can be so impactful. There's so many options, and to only have 1 kill thus far, that's always going to make it difficult for any team on the CT side, especially when you're down on rounds. We need Wolfy to show up now and help spur his team forward to at least a doable round haul going into the second half.
Yeah, I'm sure they certainly will pull it out, but you don't have as many options on that T side as well, right? I think that's kind of what you're getting at. So this is where it's sort of Wolfy's domain, and then you'd maybe look to Fasher on the T side to start helping him out a bit more. But if he's not warm, if he's not ready, it is going to be difficult. Nice flash goes in. However, Fasher will get traded. Orp round the corner. Maybe if he had a few more kills, he'd go for it. But he's just taken the passive angle, which will allow them the short control, the option to push up, and maybe commit to this A-bomb side.
Bomb still yet to be recovered. That will slow down the offense a little bit. But look at this. Zero trying to take space, shifting his way out, play swinging to his right. The timing's with him. Manx is going to fall. Bird from Sky gets the trade, but Perhaps this will pull any rotates, but for the moment, there are actually still 2 on A, and Daffu standing strong. Top performer in the previous round, and holding firm on that A bomb site. And this bomb still is 20 seconds left, Scriven. It hasn't committed up. This is going to be really tight on time.
Yeah, really overthinking this for sure, right? Taking their damn time about it because they don't know whether they want to go A or B. The hand being forced in towards A. Isaac is going to have to cover, though, and, well, there's a player at Optimus who just needs to get the good timing, finds the frag, and there's not a chance you get this bomb down. No way. Oh, my goodness. Okay, maybe for a second, but I suppose he was flying around. It takes a bit of effort for Daffu, but the round overall pretty solid from him. EcsTATIC getting 2 in a row. That is absolutely what they needed. They do it in relatively clean fashion.
Daffu as well, looking good. Playing these sites brilliantly. Not overfacing, playing the time, and of course, the final frag as well to clinch it. Was that? Oh, I think it was just within time. He actually,
yeah, just.
If he was really 700 IQ, he could have waited a second before swinging out, but I don't blame him. Pistols on the cards for GamerLegion, and considering they had so much money a few rounds ago, I guess that in itself is a result. So finally, EcsTATIC have broken the cash and avert themselves what should be an easier round.
Yeah, certainly you would assume. We still need the CT side, though, I think. In terms of the logistics, you know, for the finances, need to get it cleanly, but also in terms of it being EcsTATIC, have to keep this momentum moving, right, and not allow little things to get to them. I think that's what we're seeing maybe from a Wolfy, maybe even arguably from a Fasher, is that mentally they are in their own heads. Wolfy, however, will get his second of the game. Does get tagged up slightly, but it's all good. Cool, calm, collected, you know, keep it together, and now, of course, only 3 remaining for GamerLegion.
Any frags to bolster the confidence here from Wolfy. I think he'll take those. Just the Deagles in play here. Guess even frags at this point would be quite the result. All grouped up on long. Fasher. Quite sure what's going on here. Oh, I see. Trying to recover those extra pieces of utility. Probably spotted a few players on the jump spot as well for good measure. And if EcsTATIC can keep these numbers alive, going to these last couple rounds of the half, a great opportunity. Get up to a good round haul. Another for Wolfy. Fasher chimes in. Easy cleanup in the end and 5 alive. That'll do a lot for the money. So EcsTATIC, after starting so flat, starting to look a little bit more commendable.
Yeah, that's what you need, mate. That's what you need. You know, the eco frags maybe for big man Wolfy. Going to give him the warm-up he needs. A bit harder for them to shoot back when they're only on the pistols. And that's a very nice flick, you know. Feel yourself, right? Give yourself that, and we'll see now moving forwards. But yeah, indeed, another important round. We're still not out of the woods yet, you know. 4 rounds, not enough. And they will know that. Particularly, again, keep hearkening this point, but it feels like it adds, right? T-side's going to be harder at the end of the day. Let's just say that. So, we're going to need as much room as possible. Early nadage. Couple of shots here or there. But a slow start. GamerLegion not gone desperate mode yet. They're not rushing anything just yet.
Being the story of a lot of these rounds, isn't it, on the T side? Really favouring these slow A defaults. Double molly on towards under to clear that one out. Both from Sky rotating in. A bit of a smoke there on towards Divider. Let's give his A players a little bit of a hand as his double short setup is spotted. I'd have to give that one up, and indeed they do. So force back, less information on B. And actually the CT side is starting to dwindle on nades. So they need to use these sparingly and at the right time.
Ooh, shot lands. Second one looked pretty good as well, but not quite going to get it. Wolfy is left low. It doesn't matter so much for that AWP, of course. Flash goes in. Not able to find success, but the distraction is there. Nice flick down from Wolfy. He's abandoned his teammate, though, so one would assume player at Divider goes down. There it is. Isaac will find it through that wall, of course. Wolfy set up for long. Finds that kill, looking for a little bit more, and he will manage to get it done. Here we go. Wolfy coming alive. Already on the board for 3. Looking for more. The overstretch will cost him. However, he's earned that man advantage for his team. There's only 10 seconds left to get the bomb down. Bird from Sky hidden away. And ring around the rosy here will manage to catch Zero completely off guard, leaving eraa the only one who's going to take that AWP into the next. EcsTATIC took them some time, but they are starting to pick up speed. Yeah,
been a similar story, hasn't it, the past few rounds, especially onto towards this A bomb site with GamerLegion They do favour the slow defaults, but maybe these mid rounds before they go into the site hits are a little bit too slow. And looking at the timer here, you can see it's going sub 15 seconds before players are getting up and onto the site. That's just not enough to deal with. And the I guess the phrase we like to use is like, no plan survives first contact. So you need a bit of space to play with, don't you, on those site hits to reorganize, put new utility down, and clearly GamerLegion are lacking that time towards the end, and it's forcing them to make mistakes. So EcsTATIC up to 5 on a good streak now, and if they can close out this half in good fashion and pick up the next pistol, you know, we're really looking at a very even game.
GamerLegion hoping to work against what you just said. Having a bit of a chat in this round, it would seem. But yeah, pace pickup would be nice moving forwards. Certainly easier said than done. At the moment, it seems, strategically at least, T-side's lacking a little bit of depth. Need a bit more to it. Getting kind of predictable. So, we'll see in the future round. For this one, yeah, certainly a fan, you know. They have one smoke. Wind the clock down. Contact your way in towards B. Not a bad move at all. But it seems like we might be waiting here for a little while. 35 seconds. It doesn't look too bad, you know. Nice nade does land in. eraa going to try and lead the charge, but the molly comes through with very little time left. This is looking good.
Going to be so difficult. Going to be so difficult to force us out with the crossfire. eraa actually finds the first as what should have been the perfect setup.
Uh-oh.
Falls by the wayside. 13 seconds, 12 seconds. A player behind pillar. He's next to fall, and it's all on Wolfy. Can he deny this plant? 6 seconds. Molly on towards the bomb. Nade as well for good measure. That bomb is not going to be planted as Wolfy saves him, but my god, was that far too close for comfort.
Again, man, they just need to give themselves like 10 more seconds, you know? I get it, you're running the clock down, you do run into a little bit of resistance. They're ultimately, like, forced to move forwards, right? Because the aggression comes to them from EcsTATIC. And just not enough time, yeah, to get the bomb down. It just seems so wild, because you really don't give them a chance into that round. EcsTATIC making mistakes, over-facing. Maybe, yeah, you can say the initial is pretty good, but just sit back. They don't have a lot of time. They get overwhelmed. They're getting beaten by lesser weaponry as well, which in a, you know, 1v1 sense is never good. But GamerLegion just not leaving themselves enough time. So, we shall see here. They are once again looking for the B-bomb site, deciding that A is not the way to go. Heavy B default, we would say, which creates a lot of space at the back. Fasher pushing behind. Manx already finding kills on the front side, though, and this works perfectly, right? They're not going to expect him this quickly. They're starting to make their way out, but you can see Rusty swings around, expecting, maybe there's a guy up from connector or something along those lines. Great little return flash, but they're left a man down. And a fantastic push here as well. Oh, man. Beautiful counter-strike right now from EcsTATIC. This is a great turnaround so far in this first half.
Yes, indeed. Getting back in form, but you have to say, from the GamerLegion perspective, far too telegraphed.
Yeah.
Not enough pressure on A, not enough pressure on connector, and Fasher, he made a brilliant play, but there was no resistance. He gets the flank off, he tells his teammates they have to be loaded up towards B, and even beyond that, they might have been jump spotting short and saying nobody there, and the only place left was going to be Monster. You can see here, Zero somehow commits ahead of his teammates, they get stalled out, Fasher's on the flank, and overall, looking a little bit sloppy from GamerLegion, and considering they started off the half so well, it's a little bit perplexing how they dropped away in these last few rounds, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Maybe themselves could have benefited from a bit of a timeout to just, you know, settle nerves or whatever seems to be going on. Because the issue is, right, and where it might get a bit annoying round on round, and also just in the general context of the late stages of this first half, the calls themselves are not bad, right? They're in the right area, they're on the right lines, they're getting kind of close. They are just very panicked, and rather than being spread out and thought out, and it's like, right, step 1, step 2, step 3, it's kind of more like, well, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, they do it all at once. They're giving themselves a little bit more time here. Now, of course, the CT's getting more confident, taking aggressive peeks, and you don't have time to set up this time around, so it's not going to be down to the time. It's just down to the fact that EcsTATIC are ready. Again, not enough pressure. We've got a ball of tees all together, and EcsTATIC have figured that. So we got a flank coming out here, but there was already players ready and waiting for them to push their way in, of course. And EcsTATIC, they pull it back and take the half victory, in fact.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also huge props as well to Wolfy for how he ended this half. I believe it was 1-7 earlier on. I'm fairly sure about that. And to be ending it 11-8 is not the highest kind of kill count over a half in general, but in terms of how he started, how he finished the half, much more impressive. And certainly opening picks towards the end was making EcsTATIC's life so much easier. So considering the map bias, we still got to look at this and say it is a pretty decent T side. GamerLegion, when you throw in that they won in converted pistol and 1 early gun rounds, to only come away with 7 rounds overall, it doesn't speak amazingly of how that half ended for them, I think.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. They can be very, very happy. Now we'll see moving on to the T side where the comfort lies, right? Maybe for those of you that don't track the team super close, you're here for GamerLegion. EcsTATIC are not the best Overpass team, I think it's safe to say, right? They don't play an awful lot, but when they do, it's not to much success. So we kind of speculated, are they ready for the Overpass pick to come in? Probably. Have they been doing work on it? That's the big question. So far, they're able to turn things around. It was a poor start. They don't really have room for poor starts here on the T side. eraa going to find the first, the second as well. Maybe a little bit more for him. He does indeed get the head of Fasher, but eventually falling down. All the same, the way the maths works out to 3 versus 2 on the retake.
Bomb planted. 2 going out heaven, 1 towards CT. Players jumping out, pending towards the bomb zone. They're trying to take Jules, but they're just getting swarmed from all direction are these terrorist players, and that's going to be an amazing retake from GamerLegion. Good stuff from them, but the work isn't done just yet with that bomb plant. I suspect EcsTATIC are going to force up behind this, and we know how potent these second rounds can be, but eraa, man, what more could he have done? 3 kills around the pillar, dancing there, clicking heads. Amazing work from the Swede.
Not bad at all. But yeah, GamerLegion, I think this is where their confidence is going to start to soar. They're a little better put together on the CT side from what I've seen in the past, let alone this game. So EcsTATIC will certainly have their work cut out for them. They're happy for an early buy, though. You know, these guys like to buy rifles as early as they can. 5 Galils, 2 smokes. Not even a MAC-10 to have a full belt of utility. So really not an awful lot here. And that raises a good number of questions. What are they going to do with it? You know, not even a single flash makes this very, very hard.
4 up long. Manx all the way back in towards T-spawn. And now the long contact starts to come in. IM spots, falls in towards Bank, and he's got a teammate, and this crossfire between Bank and the front of the site. Should have been brilliant. But ultimately, we're in a 3-on-3. Bomber's getting planted, and they're thinking about the afterplants here. They decided we're going to fight in towards Bank. There's players in defense, and they're lining up.
No way.
Rusty almost goes down, but he's on such low HP. What can he do from this position? I'm amazed he even finds 1 kill. But left alone, 1-on-2. Bomb planted for Bank. This should be impossible for Zero.
Onto the bomb. Spamming away. It's a good frag onto Wolfy. And he's reading it. He knows what's up. But unfortunately, Fasher is faster. 9th round for EcsTATIC comes off the back of a crazy buy. Forced buy in the second round after planting the bomb is yeah, not too foreign, right? But with, like, no utility, your game plan there is walk up long, hope we don't get spotted too early, so they can, like, you know, smoke us out and nade us out and just force us to do something else. And then once we get towards A, just trade, you know? Just space well. And they did. They did. They hit their shots. It comes close with the one player, but it works. And when a round like that works, I think you feel pretty good about yourself as well. So we'll see what kind of momentum this gives them moving forwards. GamerLegion, of course, forcing, not full spending, but forcing into this. And this I'm a fan of. Okay, we talk about this a fair bit. When you get reset after the pistol, you have no money. Okay, like none at all. Especially on the CT side where you can't get bomb plants. You've got kits, you've got mollies that are more expensive. So we sometimes talk about the idea of maybe actually you eco 2 in a row. Something down the middle I think is nice, because we're going to have an eco after this, one would assume, right? An eco after this, then they buy, and they've got a bit of extra cash for that utility that sometimes when you full spend on this return force buy and, in a way, tilt buy, you're not going to have that same utility. Lusty's found the first here, so maybe the whole idea of eco in the next round is not going to come to fruition, but he will get traded.
Very spread out from EcsTATIC. See GamerLegion, as you do when you're forced up. Overreacting. Got to try and, you know, overload the site those T's are coming onto, and clearly in this position, they're loaded up A. But EcsTATIC smell the stack. Hitting B instead, nade draining over, and even a case actually for saving some of this armor and upgraded pistols. Retaking this is not going to happen for the CT side. See if they choose to save. For the moment, though, they are grouped up, at least considering the retake.
I mean, I think you'd maybe have some on some nice angles. Okay, they're actually going to fully go for it, which I'm not really agreeing with. As you can see, 2 players falling very quickly. I am nearly joining them, but not going to be the case. Yeah, I would have been a fan holding for the exits once the smokes and that go down. Taking what you have into the next round. Just more of the same, I suppose. So we'd have the same kind of rhetoric of like, maybe they can win, but probably not. So, neither here nor there with a decision like that. But we will indeed see EcsTATIC getting it, like you say, sniffing out the stack. And now, hopefully, if everything goes to plan, getting themselves an 11th on the board as well. And a few more rifle rounds, they'll nick their opponent's map pick. And that would be quite something, to be fair.
Keeping numbers alive is for good measure as well. And this is really why these second round resets are so potent, because not only do you reset them onto that minimum loss bonus, but you've got such a great opportunity to bank up the cash, haven't you? The force buy is weak at best, and this eco is going to have almost nothing. So if EcsTATIC can keep this clean, they'll be setting themselves up to actually win this map. And they were looking a long way down. I believe it was 7-1 early on, or something around that sort of scoreline. So to be in the lead and set up for a good position economically, this game has been an absolute roller coaster, and now it's EcsTATIC in the driver's seat.
Yeah, man, and, you know, you've got new things to deal with. Fascia was a little quiet as well. We talked about Wolfy, and he had a bit of an exponential turnaround. But Fascia was middle of the pack, you know. Bird from Sky was weirdly getting all the kills. And he started to pick it back up. Daffu also having a really strong performance here for him. So they have turned it around. You know, they've turned it around. Absolutely. That first retake that we saw in the bin, you know, 4-on-3 looked really good. They had the flank and it just crumbled. I was like, God, here we go. Surely not. You know, 2 days of it. These guys are not looking good. Take a few timeouts. Takes a bit of time, but they managed to get their heads fully in the game. And this is what happens. They start taking over. GamerLegion, they're the ones that are stuck for ideas now. And yeah, you do have to bear in mind that, sure, it's 10-8, but I'm going to be 11-8. But the time since we've seen GamerLegion really have any semblance of control, Alan, indeed, you were correct. 7-1. So we got 7 in a row on that CT side towards the end from EcsTATIC. And, of course, getting the quick reset here to, you know, not really be too fussed about losing the pistol. So really looking solid. When the rifles have been in play, they, for a long time now, have been kings of that. Yeah, indeed. As you said, starting off 7-1, now to be 8-11. Remove those first few rounds, and you're looking at, what are you, a 10-1 scoreline? So an even more dominant swing now back in the way of EcsTATIC. And the good news is for GamerLegion, because they kind of only half invested on that force buy after the reset, the buy here is going to be pretty decent. They're debating right now whether to go for the glass cannon on towards the eraa. See if they choose to bring that one out. But at least the nades on these first few plays that have brought up are good. So at least we can play a standard setup. We can get aggressive if we like to. We're not going to have any issues on that front. Certainly, considering where this game has been going thus far, it certainly feels like GamerLegion need to stem the tide right now, doesn't it? They need to get some early gun rounds under their belt, build up some cash, and at least slow down this runaway train of EcsTATIC. Seems we're in a little bit more of a tech pause here, folks, so Hopefully, nothing too crazy. We were riddled with them. It seemed yesterday someone on the one-shot side was not having a great time. If I had to put my money on it, I would say it's ERA. Because usually... Oh, he moved. Usually, you know, it's the player that's not bought up. But no one's disconnected, so that's always a good sign. That's always what we like to see. So, we'll keep you updated on that. But yeah, I think that EcsTATIC... it's really good to see, man, because I think yesterday on the maps that they lost especially, they checked out that first map big time. Just seemed like they were really not in it to win it, you know? Little lackadaisical, just kind of throwing themselves into engagements. Wasn't as much structure and as much almost effort that we'd like to see when they're trying to get back into a game, and this one is completely different. Showing, as we like to say, the good from the great, and, you know, it's not amazing, it's not mind-blowing, but definitely retaking control of that first half especially is really good stuff. We'll see what happens here, because, you know, you do have to bear in mind, it gets a bit weird, right? It looks really good for EcsTATIC, but they get that force by win that you'd argue there's a big element of luck to it, you know, if only, I think they did get spotted out along eventually, but if only the jump spot had been there from the start of the round, you know, just ready and waiting for that to come in as they can in some rounds on the CT side, and they were just a bit too late. The play was already in motion when they spotted them out. So this first rifle round here is really going to have to convince us otherwise that, you know, at the moment EcsTATIC are fully in control, looking really good with the rifles towards the end of that first half. They can tap back into that, might just be game over here, and, you know, then the series is up in the air. So GamerLegion have to convince us here.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully this technical issue doesn't last too much longer. Of course, at the same time, just so you keep going with the Counter-Strike action, of course, got I Am Katowice. Second quarter-final underway. That's FaZe against Gambit. Of course, unfortunately, Rain couldn't get out of isolation. Forced to use JKS, so that's the good news, is that at least they had a stand-in of a high caliber on site. They knew the play, knew the team, you know, knew the communication, knew the systems. So that's the good news. And at the moment, still on the first map, Gambit's pick of dust 2. Looks like kind of even Stevens for now. So very early stages there. And certainly, if you've got a second monitor, get it up, because you don't want to be missing now in the Spodek. Yeah,
and if you've got a third, there's also one shot against Wisła Krakow going on over on what would be the B stream, but the main stream of Challenger League. That one is 13-5 on Inferno. So Wisła on their opponent's map pick, looking pretty hot. They definitely are ready for that one, where EcsTATIC yesterday maybe not so much. But yeah, the Katowice one, pretty interesting. I'm a big FaZe fan, to be honest. You know, I'm not necessarily Banks levels of fan just yet, but I'm a relatively big fan of the players, especially. Love Carrigan. I'm sure you like him as well. Who you got in that one? Who you got in that one?
In terms of who to win it?
Yeah,
absolutely Gambit. I mean, certainly had FaZe shown up with their regular lineup.
Yeah, that's
it'd be
true.
A little bit more debatable. Yeah. And actually, in the group stage, they did look really good for me. When they were in the group stage at Katowice. So yeah, certainly in this matchup, Gambit for sure. And I also think going forward into the playoffs, a Gambit heroic semi-final would be great. Of course, complemented by the G2 Na'Vi on the other side. So I'd like to see Gambit win for the sake of the playoffs and having the best teams towards the end. But I do hope FaZe, considering their situation, put up a good performance. And of course, Rops, bit of a rocky road so far in terms of being substituted in by JKS early, and then just about getting into play with a negative test and all that. So for him in particular, I would like to see Rops performing well, because after what has been, you know, a pretty depressing tournament in terms of how it started for him, let's at least have a good showing in the Spodek, so at least individually you can feel kind of pretty good about how it's went overall.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm feeling the FaZe, maybe a little bit of bias, like I'm saying, but I'm not sure. It's a pretty tough matchup for them in general, even with like a full roster. I think they both have some dodgier areas, as it were. But I think Gambit, especially for me, just pool wise, are a little harder for FaZe to pick apart. But it's young days for the FaZe team, and we're not even really getting to see the full extent of that team, of course. So, yeah, but I don't know. I gotta give it to him. I think, for my money. But I'm happy to be wrong, and I do feel that Gambit Heroic is a little bit of a rivalry matchup as well that we'd get for the semis. So, you know, there's not as much history for FaZe with Heroic, honestly. Should be back into the game soon, though. We do... Oh, there we go. Got a bit of a match medic coming in, so that's usually a good sign that things will not take too much longer, folks, as we will be looking down the barrel of round number 20. Hopefully things... not going to take too much longer, but yeah, I think a pause like this for EcsTATIC wanting to get into it, chomping at the bit, I'm sure. And they've had to wait, right? So GamerLegion, they've had a lot of time in their heads, and, you know, most of the talking will be about the technical issue. You can't police these online games as much as you can the LAN games, so there probably will be a bit of chatter around preparing yourself. And now they certainly will have to be prepared as we look to get back into the action. It's going to be tough. Bird from Sky on that Mach 10 looking to charge his way forwards. We do not have an AWP out on the GamerLegion side of things, so Wolfy has a bit more run-of-the-mill in this round.
Question is, does he know it? So maybe early on they'll spot ERA and say there's no AWP in place, so maybe I can get more aggressive. For the start, I wouldn't expect anything overly audacious. That's exactly what's happening here on Monster as EcsMankz. He has the kind of lurk smoke down, but that looked... kind of audacious is an understatement. He gets punished. Early disadvantage here for EcsTATIC. And this would be an awesome round to really champion them towards winning this map. Difficult spots. Can they break themselves out of it?
Noise being made. Spam does come through the smoke. It comes close, but it doesn't quite meet the mark. Flash down. No one to follow up. So what's the game plan here? They're not sending anyone in. Maybe trying to get utility out of GamerLegion. Early faces coming in. GamerLegion again. A bit of spam through the smoke. This time around, flashes go in, but they're a little dodgy and ineffective, of course. It's hard to get through that monster area. It's got to be perfect. Wolfy does his best with the flash, but it just does not happen. Daffu and he, the only two remaining against 5. Nice find from Daffu, but he'll melt for his trouble. And now Wolfy, not a chance. He's going to try and hold on to the AWP.
Sitting back in spawn. Looks to be the case. It's GamerLegion, a much-needed round, as we were saying. Forget the first few, and that was 10-1 in a row for EcsTATIC to haul themselves into the lead, and GamerLegion had to break the streak, and indeed they have. Keeping numbers alive as well. That's going to be 4. Can they pick up the AWP? It's going to be real close on the timing, but I don't think they'll be able to pull it off, and indeed they don't. So an important round win. Keeping players alive as well for good measure. The only scary bit is that EcsTATIC have banked up so much cash on those anti-ecos. It's going to be multiple rounds in a row here for GamerLegion to stabilize on the CT side.
Yeah, absolutely true. So we'll see. And I mean, you know, it's not necessarily like a Hail Mary, but that didn't feel like the most put together, most thought out, super deep round from EcsTATIC. Just trying to test the water, really. What are GamerLegion playing? Are they safe? Are they passive? Is everybody ready to go? Can we catch them with some cheekiness? The answer is no. So perhaps something different and more effective into this round, such as catching IM out in the open. eraa does trade him, but he takes a fair amount of damage on the way out. So a nice opener from the T side.
Good read from EcsTATIC. I'm guessing they contacted mid, knowing unlikely to be an AWP in play, and indeed catching IM in the opener. Fascia here, that's a bad time to reload. Fortunately, his mechanics bail him out. 4 and 3 now for EcsTATIC in a round that GamerLegion needed to convert. They needed to chain these rounds together and actually break that T economy, and it carries on at this rate. It's going to be their economy broken. Rusty answers back. 3 on 3. We're going tit for tat here on Overpass.
Oh, big flash coming in as well. Not going to blind up EcsMankz, but he's left half. There's 2 players to get through, of course, and well, yeah, no, it wasn't a 2v2. It was more like 2 1v1s. They were not ready for that push-up at all on the T side, leaving Wolfy again by himself. Great response from GamerLegion, showing why this is one of their favorite maps, and definitely a lot more comfort here than what EcsTATIC had on their CT side. We did have a bit of aggression from them, but it was more when they were, you know, resting on their laurels that they started to build up the momentum. Then the aggression came in. GamerLegion, the fact of the matter is, you're down by a couple to start with. You've got to pull something off, and it looks fantastic, right? You get a player caught out in the bathrooms. Isn't that really awkward and unfortunate? But they pull off the aggression at a risky time, and it pays off. It pays off massively. Wolfy will survive with the AWP. Obviously, that screws his personal economy here, so quite sure what EcsTATIC are going to do. But GamerLegion hot on the heels. Looking good.
Yes, indeed. Rusty, good frags, good replies. And ultimately, considering they're at a man disadvantage, turning that round kind of back on its head was so massive. So important, and that proactive plays in towards the toilets could be crucial in deciding who are victors on this first map of the series. EcsTATIC, I suspect, debating whether to invest into this one. Armor is bought by Bird from Sky. They'll be aware that that CT money is pretty low, and considering the AWP will save over, it's pretty compelling to force into this one. But in terms of utility, they're going to be very worse for wear here. 2 smokes, make that 3. Now Wolfy's bought a couple. Lacking in nades, and this round for both teams is so massive economically.
Well, here we go. Crunch time towards the end of regulation. Does feel like this game might warrant a little bit more, to be honest with you. Aggression coming out. Ooh, Fasher, though. Flicks across. You don't want to be re-peeking those. Bird from Sky picks up IM. And this looks like a problem. GamerLegion, the aggression in the previous round was magnificent. In this one, not so much.
Groups up now towards EcsTATIC. Taking it very slow here, potentially preempting some CT aggression. And of course, that's what we saw in the previous round to even up GamerLegion's disadvantage. So I like the call. And as long as they stick together here and trade out, it's only eraa in defense. He's in long toilets, and to recover this round from EcsTATIC, it's going to take quite the highlight play, and he's yet to spot any of these terrorist players.
Certainly hear a pin drop as they creep up short.
I don't think he knows they've crossed.
Nope, he's missed them. Absolutely. They'll start to make a bit of noise as they gain control of the A-bomb site, so at the very least he'll have that information in. But I think as the bomb goes down, you know, we're in one of these positions that we see oh so often in this game. If they come B, we'll fight. If not, we'll save. And now era's kind of left on his lonesome. He's about to meet 2 towards long. The odds he gets out of here pretty slim. Picks up 1, instantly traded, right? I know my stuff, guys. 2 on 4. The round is over.
Yeah. Not looking amazing there towards the end. Of course, unlucky timing, but I feel like 3v5, if you're going to stack, you need to stack and send 3 over towards B, because you're not going to win it. They've taken an absolute highlight there from eraa and huge mistakes. But on the flip side, EcsTATIC starting to warm up again now. Starting to reaffirm that bank account as well for good measure. And on the other side of the coin, it's GamerLegion so worse for wear here economically. What do? Do you force up behind these rifles? Do you eco one, allow your opponents 13 and more economy? Difficult choice to make, and they decided to take the passive one, save through this one, and hope that Zero and Isaac can do some damage.
Maybe a bit of something. The odds, though, of course, certainly against them. That door is glowing white hot. Which is very hot, for those of you that maybe don't know. Never really seen that before, but, you know, the game never fails to surprise us. GamerLegion, maybe they can give us some surprises in this round. Not looking too likely, though, is it? Although I say that, the rotation's now starting to come in. I was going to say they're stacking B, but no. They're rotating up just as the bomb starts to move down. So, but then it's going back up. They were just clearing connector. So, EcsTATIC need to be a bit careful that their lack of control here doesn't work against them.
Oh, if they're caught in this sandbags boost, man. When they open the condor, this could be devastating. They're still boosted. They're still hoping to find a player walking in from the T-spawn side. The AK's not facing this direction. Here comes the flash, here comes the door opening, and they're caught in the open. Whack-a-mole here on the sandbags, and that's the rifle down, and now this round surely becomes impossible for GamerLegion.
Yeah, they read that. They read that beautifully. I mean, they might have maybe spotted the tip of a head or something along those lines, but we don't quite catch that either way. The read solid, the play even better. They'll clear out that site now that the AK's taken down. The FAMAS towards the backside. Probably go for it, you know, you might as well. You're buying in the next anyway. But the odds of winning, very slim. So he's going to hold on to what he has. I guess the kit's nice, you know. But the FAMAS definitely want to get rid of that.
Yes, indeed. 13 it's going to be then for EcsTATIC. And as a reminder, started off this map 1-7 down on the CT side of map. But they've struggled quite a lot in recent times. And it was a slam dunk for GamerLegion to pick into this one. It's one of their stronger maps. So it's been one heck of a turnaround thus far. Cash in the bank as well. And we're looking at GamerLegion saying, you're inches away here from losing your map pick and making this series so difficult. When I think a lot of people would have taken them not only to win this map, but maybe even in convincing fashion.
All right. EcsTATIC, primed and ready. Realistically, win this one and your chances are pretty damn high. Nice early nade coming in from the GamerLegion side of things, though. Going to leave Fasher low HP. They try and respond. Rusty, though, ready for it. Still eats a bit of the damage, but not as much.
Ollie's here. Clear out the underpass. Playing it safe. Slow default seems to be the name of the game for both teams here. On Overpass. Bullet smoke. Flash for mid. That's mid control now in the hands of EcsTATIC, and we'll see if GamerLegion choose to react. But for the moment, staying very committed here on 3 on B, and look at the minimap, Scriv. They're scaling up on A, and Rusty might not get here in time.
Yeah, pretty scary, dude. Pretty scary indeed. They're all the way up. Rotation from Rusty is around, but he's not really able to stop them. Plan faked out as the Molotov comes in, so they're not able to commit just yet. The AWP swinging back around from long, and they do have a bit of a bathroom flank. eraa, well read, picks up Fasher. Not tunneling, not focusing in, knows that his back is covered by IM as well. So we're looking good here on the GamerLegion side of things. A great find from Daffu. AWP jumps across. IM taking a big chunk of damage on the backside. So 4 versus 3, but the bomb has gone down, and Wolfy has rotated around, absolutely outplaying IM, and now the long control looking a little better. AWP on the retake, never good. Daffu looking sharp as he keeps on fragging, and now it's just eraa. Pistol is out, picks up the first. Wolfy a little far away. No kit for eraa, though. Tap onto the bomb, and Wolfy can watch this all day long. Not enough time for the defuse to come in. Molotov for the good measure, and EcsTATIC, they pull it off. That was a round that looked like it was not going to work for them, and yet they get it done.
Yeah, early on it felt like they kind of threaded the needle, didn't it? Slipped in between those CTs and got all the way up to the bomb site. That molly on towards the truck, that felt like that was going to be the round winner, didn't it? Really stalled out the plant, allowed time for the rotates, but somehow, be it GamerLegion dropping the ball or EcsTATIC playing a marvelous afterplant. Bit of both, I suspect, but that was pivotal. Now the money is shocking for GamerLegion. Only that AWP makes for easy reading here. Looking at the buy, and there's another rifle on towards Rusty, but it's not going to be good here for Zero, Isaac, and IM. Now we're getting really close to EcsTATIC, pulling off a little bit of an upset, claiming their opponent's map pick.
Let it sink in for just a sec, because this is a complete juxtaposition from yesterday. They've dug deep, they figured it out in that first half, and now it's paying dividends. Timeout comes to an end and we're back into it. GamerLegion hanging on by a thread.
Two MP9s in play. There is a kit on ERA and IM this time, so come to an afterplant, it might be a little bit easier. Smoke on towards that short molly, and that should give EcsTATIC all the noise cues whilst they're popping out a monster. This is going to be such carnage here on B. They should be aware that players are pushed in short. Spam is coming out. There's a player boosted on the sandbags. No heaven smoke. Twice out of that position, but Fash is in there lurking in towards the short pipe, and this is still absolute madness going on here as IM comes through the smoke, gets a 3K. And it's just Fasher alone, out of nowhere, left alone, 1 on 3. And how on earth did GamerLegion win that? What just happened?
That's a massive round, isn't it, from IM? Goodness me. One would assume the leading voice within this team. Or one of them. He just goes for it, mate. He just goes for it. Hail Mary, wing and a prayer, and it works. Huge. And that keeps him alive, right? All the usual stuff we talk about. Money, money, money. Very much against them if they lose that round. And they have no option. Can't be saving, of course, because you're up against it. So, denying that reality away. And now we move into maybe the dream world for GamerLegion at the moment, as they are staying alive a little while longer, looking better than we perhaps would have expected after that initial take.
Absolutely. And for certain, without IM's intervention, it would have been map for EcsTATIC. The buy would have been so bad up against match point here, and EcsMankz has decided to take it upon himself. Another monster pop, but this time the entries are rolling in thick and fast. It's only Rusty, and the flashes are just exquisite, and just like that, the dominoes cascade their way down, and it's going to be EcsTATIC up to 15, and there's no choice here but to say for GamerLegion, as they're only minutes away here from losing their map pick and being in a terrible spot.
Yeah, EcsTATIC, you know, it's unlucky in the previous round, really. You did everything right, and those independent variables that you can't control can sometimes take over, and that's what IM was in the previous round. And, you know, he's trying to add to it again with another 3K. This time, not going to have the same kind of impact, but a nice couple of rounds from him. But yeah, you kind of have to look at it where everything that you did well. Mistakes do happen. You get caught with timing, as a couple, I think the players at the front certainly did. It's not necessarily something that GamerLegion are going to be able to replicate. So, I do like the logic of, let's just try again. You know, we were pretty close. I don't think he's going to do that again, so let's just try again. And it works this time.
Yes, indeed. And in terms of the hit, there was no problem with the actual execute on the previous, was there? It was all the afterplant. So good call from EcsTATIC to realise that the fault wasn't in the call. It was with the execution, and they could go for it again. EcsDaffu here getting very explosive. The flash fully catches ERA. Completely blind, caught in the open. He's going to fall, and I think GamerLegion just gifted a reply there on the spray. Even Stevens here in round 27.
Yeah, here we go. A little bit more of a chance for GamerLegion not having to battle back into the round. They've also pushed in all the info on B after that frag. So they pretty much know what's up. They've got the man in bathrooms as well. Heard from Sky lurking around the backside trying to cause a few problems, and give the idea that, you know, there might be a few more of us towards short. IM lurking in, finds him easily. Up long they will go, through smoke they will go. Rusty is very ready, and he does get Trader, but Zero's there for the cover. Wolfy going to be the only one left, and he's late. He's got that AWP, you know what I mean? He doesn't want to go barreling through the smoke unless there's room for him to do so. If they've cleared a path, maybe, but they didn't. He goes for it. He gets taken down. So, GamerLegion, 3 more to go. And this one looks pretty good, right? The money's not there.
Yes, indeed. Overtime looming ever closer. Very heavy eco. They just decided let's just invest nothing here. And actually, it's such a good call because economic damage doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. As soon as you hit 15, what would be the point here in buying? D was getting 2 kills, but not having the utility in the next. And then he's going to take it slow. Hope GamerLegion burn some nades, maybe take a, what do we call it, an existence style timeout, perhaps, if we still use that reference.
Indeed.
And talk through the following few gun rounds, because that's when it's really going to count.
Yeah, if you're an OG, you know, you're allowed. That's one of the snobby references, maybe, that we can use. To prove how long we've been watching, maybe also our age a little bit in the esports world. I am, because there's probably some people out there like, whose existence? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I am's going to ace up, making it look easy as they all just go barreling on through, as you would expect in an anti-eco. They want to throw it out. They've done their talking. They've done their quasi-timeout. And they're ready to get going into the rifle. So, let's see. Crunch time for both teams, man. This is what it's all about. And I don't know. It's hard to call GamerLegion. They've had a bit of luck strewn in. Got to turn that luck in their favor once again. We'll see.
Important round, needless to say. And for EcsTATIC, if they lose this one without a plant, it's not going to be healthy buying the following. So this is absolutely their best chance to close out this map and set themselves up for a storming series as eraa. He's aggressive, posted up in towards playground. Nobody facing for the moment. It's only Bird from Sky in the vicinity, and he peeks and fells that player. Information as well that nobody else was around, and maybe, just maybe, they can get this B stack over in time. It's going to be the monster pot.
Dangerous times ahead. Oh, EcsTATIC. No, they put the brakes on it. They decide against it. And that might just be the smart move, sir. So like you said, there's a lot more bodies over here than perhaps they would expect. The B setup ready to go. You know, era's on high as well. Boost coming in. Oh, no. And Rusty was ready, but he doesn't have the right weaponry. Bad workman blames his tools, but once again, he's done everything right. Dink for dink, as we say. And the AK comes out on top of it. 4 on 4 then, but of course, EcsTATIC looking worse for wear.
Another frag comes out from eraa. So proactive this round. Started on towards A, rotates back towards Monster, and clearly EcsTATIC none the wiser as Fasha left alone. 9 HP, 1 on 4, insurmountable deficit as GamerLegion started the map so strong. The middle portion, however, had been all EcsTATIC, and it's only now that the afterburners are starting to fire up again, and now it's EcsTATIC. Money's in the bin, the buy's not going to be good, and GamerLegion touching distance now of overtime.
It's close. Very, very close. And I mean, yeah, no, we've changed tunes at the start of this half on the force buy. EcsTATIC were in with all the rifles. This time, not going to be the case. They want that utility. 3 MAC-10s, 2 Tech-9s. They maybe can pull a bit more weight than you'd expect from the little weapons. But gonna need some magic here for EcsTATIC. They're looking to B once again, and once again, GamerLegion are ready.
Setup's good. The setup's really good from the CT side, and actually, IM's telling them it's got to be B. Rusty whited up early. Zero finds 1, half blind, but is swiftly traded as Fasha. What on earth? 3 Tech-9 headshots in a row to make it a 4 on 2, and GamerLegion out of nowhere. Seconds from losing their map pick.
Yep, there he is. There he is, Mr. Fasha. Don't be sleeping on this fella. Always capable. I am an eraa. What do you do, you know? You've got to go for it, of course. Now they're the ones that need some magic. I am trying to clear as many angles as he can, but yeah, as soon as he goes into one of those more dangerous ones, down he goes. eraa hiding in the smoke, trying to play that cheese. He also has to start checking angles. Down he will fall as he picks up Fasha. Low HP onto Wolfy. Smoke on towards short. Not a lot of time. Finds the first. Takes a bit of damage for it, but they are not moving. They are not giving him anything as he caught reloading. He will get taken down. 16-14 for the finish. So damn unfortunate for the boys at GamerLegion. They have had some pretty close losses recently, so that one's going to hit hard on a map that they look good on early. And, of course, they have that kind of statistical advantage, as it were, going